Director and producer Ava DuVernay has been grabbing headlines and breaking boundaries. In the last year, her film Selma was nominated for 2 Oscars and 4 Golden Globes. She's had a Barbie doll modeled after her, and business is booming for her filmmaking collective, the African American Film Festival Releasing Movement. Ava joins us via Skype with Atlantic Washington editor-at-large Steve Clemons to talk about storytelling, what she's working on, and the changing face of Hollywood.
Ava, I know we have 8 minutes, not very much time, certainly not enough time with you, and I know you can't see me, but I'm a pretty cool guy. So let's just get into it real quickly, and let me ask you just one quick provocative question. Your film, Selma, how many of you saw Selma? Hands up everywhere. It was nominated for Academy Award, and you were the first African-American female director of a film that was nominated, but you were not nominated. You are, however, Mattel has an Ava DuVernay super cool Barbie doll in their Sheroes collection. So what does Mattel know that the Academy does not?
Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're great.
Okay, good. I don't know. It's all a little surreal. You know, I'm just an independent filmmaker who finds myself in these places. This was the second day of shooting last year. We were only shooting 2 days last year this time on Selma. This whole kind of rigmarole has happened in less than a year with the film doing what it's done, and you know, now in every high school in America with cool, like fun things like the doll, but all of it is driving towards one goal for me, and that's really just to amplify the fact that, you know, Black women creatives are here, that we're dynamic, that we have ideas that we can execute, and that we and many other people of color and many other women have been left on the sidelines by the studio system for far too long. So, you know, to think about the ways in which to remedy that, for me, it's really just been to hunker down and focus on my work. And that's what I've tried to do. The rest has just been a cherry on top.
When I watch Selma, going through my mind, particularly as I live near Baltimore, were stories of Freddie Gray, thinking of Ferguson Michael Brown, the Trayvon Martin case. I mean, what I saw was a contemporary drama in a historical film. And I'm interested in what you think people should learn about the life and work of Martin Luther King and John Lewis and others, and to bring that into some of the struggles that are happening today.
Well, I think the mistake is to define what's going on right now as a struggle that's just happening today, as opposed to an ongoing struggle that's never ended. We've been on a continuum since the events that we chronicle in Selma in 1965, and before that, long before, to now. There's been no break. There's been no kind of, hiatus of this activity. It's just that for whatever reason, and it's really interesting to look at what those reasons are, that these have all come to the forefront of public consciousness outside of the African American community. But I'm 42 years old and grew up with this, in Compton, California. Know of many stories like this that happen just all the time. And so I think, the real thing that I hope Selma does is help connect the dots for people who are regarding this as, wow, look at all these murders, look at all this police aggression that's going on right now, to really understand that this is just an echo through history. And until we can really address what the root causes of it are, it will continue to echo, and we'll be talking about it in another 50 years.
One of your passions is the African American Film Festival Releasing Movement. Tell us about that.
Oh, we're just a ragtag group of Black film lovers. And by Black film lovers, you don't have to be Black to be a Black film lover. You can just love some Black film wherever you are. But basically, it's about saying, look, these are voices, these are visions of stories in cinema that have been, excluded from studio curated films. I mean, when you go to the mall or when you go to the local multiplex, you are, watching hand-picked films for you, and very often those films have to, hit all 4 quadrants. They have to be something so wide, so sweeping that everyone, no matter who you are, might like it, and you lose nuance, you lose texture, you lose, our individuality. So I think that it's a disservice to the audience to not have a full array of voices and of cinematic visions to partake in. And so that's what we do at Affirm and Array. We provide all kinds of films to all kinds of audiences, and we do it all through small donors and all through my money from directing that I put back into the collective. So we're in the middle of a drive right now. If you love all kinds of films, we encourage you to check us out at arrayaction.com and give a few dollars to make sure we can distribute these pictures.
You know, one of the things I think behind a lot of the Atlantic's events like New York Ideas is we bring practitioners together, people who are doing things, sometimes people with enormous responsibility, and we try our best to pack the house with creative types to make sure that art, that soul, and that, you know, greater vision is part of the crowd. And I'm interested, so we've got a really full house here of creative people, many of whom are just starting out. And what is the best advice you have, given that a year ago you hadn't even made this film yet, you've become a superstar in a short time. What is the advice you have for them? I know you're modest. We can see it in your face. We see you. Yep.
Okay. The advice, the only advice that I really followed that really changed things for me, you get all types of advice. The advice that I got really early on, and it didn't come through one particular person saying it in a very linear, kind of clear way to me. It was really just kind of peeping game and watching what successful people did. And they don't wait for permission. They just do it. I think, you know, as a woman, as a person of color, as a filmmaker who wasn't trained, didn't go to film school, self-trained, as, you know, a person from where I'm from, all of the things that I think are buckets in which we're trained to wait for someone to say it's okay to proceed. I would just watch, like, primarily white men just do what they wanted. I'm just going to go do it. I was like, that's amazing. You're just going to actually do the thing that you said? Well, shoot, I'm going to partake in that privilege, and I'm going to do it too. And so it was just changing that mindset to say, I don't have to wait for someone to say it's okay to start a collective to distribute Black films. It's okay to try your hand at directing and change your career. It's okay to tackle, you know, the first film that centers Dr. King. First feature film ever to have him at the center of the narrative. All of these things where we'd often have to get a high sign from someone to say it's okay, to just proceed. And I think that working in a permissionless way, no matter what it is, the small steps, is freeing, but it also is compelling to people who may assist you in that, or may be drawn to you, or may consume whatever you're making. And so that's been my motto.
Just to wrap up, you know, I'm one of the people at the Atlantic, probably have the record for the most miles flown every month, and I spend a lot of time, watching movies and shows on the screen. And I've watched Selma twice in 2 trips to the Middle East, but I've also watched, some of you may have seen the show Wolf Hall. So Wolf Hall is sort of the story of Cromwell and Sir Thomas More and others, Henry VIII, and Charles Krauthammer had a piece out recently saying he loves this film, or Wolf Hall, and in his mind, that has now become history as he sees it, when he senses that there's been a lot of fictional recreation. And one of the things people have talked about Selma, and I see, you know, Martin Luther King, and to me what you presented is how I see him now and how I see the march and the tension. But what do you think the responsibility of filmmakers, creatives, people that are bringing that history to us, what is your responsibility to telling the literal, detailed history as it was?
As it was is through the eye of whoever is trying to understand history. You and I can have a conversation about this very moment, and we'll tell it in 2 different ways. First of all, I can't see you, but you can see me, right? So we're having a very different experience, yeah. And that's what history is. So often history has been steeped in a certain worldview. It's been told by one kind of person, and that is history. Just because it's written in a book doesn't mean it's necessarily true. I can sit down and read about John Lewis in a book, or I can talk to him, and he can tell me what he experienced. And what he experienced is going to be different than the guy that was next to him. So I think this whole idea, it's very pedestrian to me, that history is one thing, what is literal, what is the real thing, what is accurate. None of that is even real. As a filmmaker, as a storyteller, as an artist, I will tell the story in the way that I see it, that I interpret it, that I believe it to be. You'll tell it in the way that you see it, interpret it, and believe it to be, and those will most likely be different. And I think that's okay. It's up to the individual to try to research, study, understand what happened, and understand it for themselves. So that's what I've done. My platform was a film. I invite people to dig deeper and learn for themselves.
Great. Ava DuVernay, thank you so much for spending time with us. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank
Real
you.
pleasure. Bye.